Okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming. If you'd like to make a donation towards the Mothership, Paul is reminding everyone that the donation box is here. We're here to honor Gregory Corso, who was a great poet and a great person and a great friend to a lot of people who are here now also. And we also want to say our hearts go out to the people of Libya and Morocco who are suffering so much right now. And we love them, and we hope that all the suffering in the world will end soon. And in the name of Gregory, we say thank you all. And I'm Shiv Mirabito, and we also want to thank Dario for doing this special festival in Italy honoring Gregory Corso, and also Raymond Foye, who could not be here tonight, for hooking up this connection with Woodstock and the Woodstock poets. And so I'm Shiv Mirabito, and I'm going to read one poem of Gregory Corso. This is from his book, Long Live Man. God, she's black. Gases and liquids, her nature, spewing stars like eggs from her all-central womb. Solids and solutions, her procedure, setting galaxies like babies on her all-genetic lap and knee, atoms and light, her law, punishing evolution like bad boys with the slap of her all-void hand. Metals and alloy, her chore, raising telescopes like puberty toward her all-encompassing self. Time and infinity, her store, giving chance and speed like youth, and all her sons leave home. Hydrogen and space, their war, creating bombs and rockets. To what end? Will they ever reach her again? And that's Gregory Corso's God, She's Black. So we have a lot of great readers. We have some great films also presented by Dee Dee Halleck, who has been a great help with all this organization. And then our first reader is a great friend of Gregory Corso, a great poet, Andy Clausen.
53 in Discord. So what's it like being an American assassin this silly, uncertain day? Now I, with the Chimoran Syrian eyes, do I raise my right hand that pokes, halt. What the heck? Canobrians relent, like a table of fishy Chinamen. I laugh my purpose with dopey disguise. Who I'll see this or that, or where they bereft of such eyes. The good, the bad, I seek the good. But I am good. Thus the bad, oh damn, oh thank God, I'm sure to find. Heed me, all you creepy, goopy assassins. I am a million gins. I build ins and outs and ins. I'm all them gremlins dropping wrenches in boax bowings, sticking pins in zeppelins. Oh, I am a million trillion stars twinkling in the all-crazy farce. I am immeasurable, illuminable sins. I am indoomable, ingloomable and the uncreation of the world is the work of every honorable human imaginable. All are assassins. And I swear to you, are Indians less cruel? No, I swear to you, hashish has never been your guru. You drunken, exorbitant, square killer non-Hashidans. One poke of red-eyed hash would make all of you Halet, iatrical, not homicidal, not rightful, not presidential. You are punk killers, not assassins. Maybe that's enough, huh?
Thank you, Andy Clausen. Now we have a pre-recorded tape of Ed Sanders, who also was a good friend of Gregory Corso.
For Homer, there's rust on the old truths. Ironclad cliches erode. New lies don't smell as nice as new shoes. I've years of poems to type up, 40 years of smoking to stop. I've no steady income, no home, and because my hands are autochthonic, I can never wash them enough. I feel dumb. I feel like an old mangy bull crashing through the red rag of an alcoholic day. Yet it's all so beautiful, isn't it? How perfect the entire system of things. The human body, all in proportion to its form. Nothing useless. Truly as though a god had indeed warranted it so. And the sun for day, the moon for night, and the grass, the cow, the milk. That's, we all in time die. You'd think there would be chaos, the futility of it all. But children are born, oft-times spitting images of us, and the inequities, millions doled one nilch for another, both in the same leaky lifeboat. I've no religion, and I'd as soon worship Hermes. And there is no tomorrow. There's only right here and now, you and whomever you're with, alive as always, and ever ignorant of that death you'll never know. And all's well that is done. A Hellene happiness pervades the peace, and the gift keeps on coming. A work begun splendidly done, to see people aware and kind, at ease and contained of wonder, like the dreams of the blind. The heavens speak through our lips. All's caught what could not be found. All's brought what was left behind. Gregory Corso. For Homer.
Wow, that was wonderful. Ed Sanders was great. All that ganja in the background, that looked really great. Next up is Mike Platsky, a local poet who also hosted the local readings here in town for many years. Mike, come up here to the mic.
Mike on the mic. I had 2 encounters with Gregory Corso in my entire life. Both of them maybe totaled 2 minutes. And they didn't really go that well. But I know many people who know Gregory, and I attended the fundraiser at the Poetry Project at the St. Mark's Church in 2001 to raise money to get Gregory's headstone just where he wanted it. I wrote this when I returned from that event. For Gregory, now he's gone. And the writers wonder out loud, who is left to heckle the poets? To scream at the moon, whatever phase, a crescent cry, half howl, full, furious screech, lungs lunging loudly, wild, wheezing outrage, whimsical rhymes of rhetoric, raging like a mad river of thought without caring who is tossed or offended. So much of life is offensive. In this atomic age of greed and profits, a prophet on a village rooftop, chanting poems, enchanted visions, painted words. Don't dare complain, neighbors of rooftop poets, those neighbors behind closed doors, windows locked down, fists in eyes clenched closed. Dare they complain about one lone voice, raised high into the dark neon nights of a dozen slumbering cities? One lone soul pouring gasoline onto the embers of a once burning fire, sweeping and raging with passionate heat, wishing death happy birthday, trespassing through conventional wisdom, ripping blind obedience, the new asshole it deserves, until its foibles spill out like loose change, clumsily clanging bells of despair, ringing wildly, warning, dare not complain. One lone voice crying out, paying homage to the offbeat, searching for an ancient path to forge a new beginning through the modern American forest of truth. So now, who is left to heckle the poets? Not me. I don't have the black heart, but I am perfectly willing to howl at the night.
Thank you, Mike Platsky. Next up, we have the great poet, Chuck Stein.
I didn't know Gregory. I'm here largely to do a favor to Raymond Foye, who was unable to be here. And my only I have one anecdote connection, and the fact that Raymond turned me on to Corso very, very late. That is to say, right this year. But I got enthralled by him very much and wrote what I imagine is the first review of his last book in the Brooklyn Rail. So I'm just going to read some of the ones that I like. Reader, when poetry came to me, I never meant it for you. I was an orphan. She mothered me, the muse. I was a ward of the church. I was doled out to loveless, needy families, 6 of them. Each one had a single dark room for me. My only companion was my imagination. I did not know then, but now I know I was born of the muse. That's why in life I was mean to poets. I claimed her for my own. The only poets I ever liked were the young dead ones. It never made a difference to me if mine was a Hubrisian claim. Full well I know to have experienced the birth of the poem. Undeniable, oh God, undeniable the feeling of it. Faith, I adore you, your salvation. Was the time of the world depression? I was born into it, an orphan, a ward of the Catholic Church. From birth to my 10th year, I was doled out to 2 years or less to 6 needy, loveless, strange families. A man visited me once a year. He sat up straight, hard-looking, talking with my foster parents. Hardly did he look at me. After coffee, they said their goodbyes. Before he left, he entered my room with me, closed the door behind him, and wham, wham, 2 stinging slaps to my face. Behave, he ordered, and left. It was years later I learned he was my father. He punished me for having spilt Jell-O on myself, hot yet, 8 months ago, a thing I was already punished for. I hated leaving my room and feared the day when the yearly visitor visited. When the one of the many that came and spoke well of new things, ears were alerted, but eyes slowly scanned the field and mouths tightened. Swamis had peacocks do their bidding, orators foretold of unseasonal weather, astrologers contradicted each other's omens. Then, like a flash, 4 men were stripping a BMW in a Bronx garage. Where are you sending Pancho? Asked one of them. To diplomatic school, Carol, I think. It's near Tufts. I want him to be Presidente one day. First, he got to learn Mexican, though. This America. Here, you can learn anything. Flash. The emperor declaimed. All astrologers leave Rome. Saul had a flash and became Paul. When there's a bad smell, you run away from it. Dumbstruck, frozen like in a dream, no fumigations to release from the silos. The dead sackcloth girl is skeletal now beneath the corn. I mean, the amazing thing to me about Gregory's, certainly his late poems, but I suspect they're there throughout, was that the disarming direct tone of the actual thought that's occurring is simultaneously and very unobtrusively a poetry of disconnections, of juxtapositions not just of unusual words, but juxtapositions of whole contexts of what the poem is, and that the real power of it, the real thought of it, is what's happening, moving from one context to another. This one, actually, I wrote about in the review, but I only wrote about the last 3 lines because it was published. All the poems have some kind of titles, usually just the first line repeated. But this one, I mistook the last 3 lines as if it were a single poem by itself. I'll read those 3 lines first, and then I'll read the whole thing, and then one more after that. Who are these people that were Aztec? The heart, their most precious possession, fed to the sun to keep it on the run, which is actually a quote from one of his favorite poets, Andrew Marvell, the end of the one famous poem. Though we cannot make the sun stand still, we can make him run. Would you have believed me? He walks with spiked feet, heads towards my kind of open giving hands, blood crusted with the skin of nails. The nights were spring nights or autumnal nights, those wondrous nights in Greenwich Village. The people all young, villagers and tourists alike. The artists, poets, dancers, actors, bohemians all. They were on the move in the 20s, 30s, 40s, but after the war all stayed. Apartments were cheap, boys and girls lived together, gays lived without hassle, poems and paintings all day, bars and wine all night. This time of time, the lives of our time are falling like fireflies. 'Tis the touch of the icy hand with warmth hath come to leave me sans fireplace and in solitaire. Alone I be in a life once filled with angelic spirit. Faith comes before intelligence. Faith is strengthened by knowledge, I used to claim. I'd rather a mite of knowledge than a barrelful of faith. How lost was I! O Origen, O Augustine, Clement, how true! One needs faith to gain knowledge. There is no knowledge got by lack of faith. Knowledge is what we know. Faith is what we do not know. What we know is finite. What we don't know, infinite. Who are these people that were Aztec? The heart, their most precious possession, fed to the sun to keep it on the run. And last one. My ancestral home was the cave. A recurring dream would come to me when awake and when asleep. Myself and a pylon of woolly mammoths trudging up a snowy alpine, downward a Neanderthaler plain. I would be frostbitten, with puffed belly starved, trudging the windy snows, looking homeward in circles, encircled by mountains, no stepward path to climb, but ever upward, and deep within, wishing to fall where I hardly stand, and sleep my life away.
Phyllis Segura.
At the beginning of Naropa, I think around 75, at one point there was a penny a poem and POME. And so I got one from Gregory for $1 a poem. A bird on a branch sees the sun avalanche. That's it. And there was another time, and I didn't know Gregory well, but he was around, and I would see him with Alan. And when I had just moved to New York, and something happened, and I thought I was dying. I had such pain. And after a couple of days, it disappeared. And I went out on the street, and then it was 3rd Avenue and like 10th Street, and there were still hookers across the street. And there was Gregory. Hello, Gregory. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I just thought I was dying, blah, blah. And he was so kind. And he liked to take taxis short distances, I learned on that trip. And we went up, and he took me for coffee at the Haifa Cafe that was up, I think, on 8th Street. But what I learned from him then is he just started talking about the old poets, catalysts. I mean, he just gave me this whole discourse on catalysts at that point, who he loved. What? And then he took me up to Allen's. And I knew Allen, but I'd never been up to his place on 12th Street. And we did that. And it was just like a very interesting, sort of sweet thing. And I was glad that I didn't die.
Thank you.
I have 2 more, but yeah.
Okay, next up is poet Valery Oisteanu.
Hi, I'm Valery Oisteanu. I spent quite many times with Gregory. We read together. We had this beat poetry cafe, the Blue Monkey, and with participation of course, Peter Orlovsky and Allen Ginsberg. So, long story short, I'm going to read a poem that I dedicated to Gregory. I have several poems that I published about him. This one is called The Savage Saint, and it's dedicated to Gregory and Hope Savage, his one-time lover and a beat poet who disappeared somewhere in Asia, and we don't know where she is. The forest grows possessed and begrudgingly quiet. From his fingers' knives, leaves are whispering with a rustle of snakes on the trails of the 1,000 creeks, changing the atmosphere motion of the clouds. Gregory's angry voice resembles the banging of the shutters against the frozen walls. The savage saint in a shrinking Paris, clinging long stick in his hand, gray ropes floating. Words were the purpose of his existence. Words as jazz triple lightning. Do not edit. Do not cut his lines of his written crumbled pages. Listen to the staccato rhythm. Poet Maudit, possessed, suffering, heavy breathing. His shape poems like a bomb or a mushroom cloud. The wind is whispering while he says goodbye. Forked clarinet accompanies his werewolf song in a bathtub while drinking a glass of Flash Gordon blood. Is there a sarcophagus in the house? Life of a savage saint, an inspirational, impractical proposition on the road to Naxos, belligerent lover, ostentatious verse, battling his abandonment feeling of an orphan, finding his mother in Trenton, New Jersey, as a ghost, haunting the Spanish Steps in Rome, talking to Shelley via Hope Savage about unending loneliness. Fate falls asleep in his empty pockets. Thank you. I'm Valery Oisteanu.
Thank you, Valery. And next up, we're very lucky to have Annie Nocenti, who is very close with Gregory Corso. And please welcome Annie.
Hi. So I was pretty close with Gregory. He used to come stay at my cabin a little bit south of here, and we would come to Woodstock. He also would visit his friend Anton. I don't know if any of you remember Anton. I think he took the last train out a while ago. But I'm just going to read a little bit from this wonderful long shot volume. Just a little ditty about something Gregory and I tried to do together to make cash that we failed at. It's called Sweet Pugilist. All she did was buy shoes, Gregory Corso yelled at the television the day the U.S. federal court acquitted Imeldo Marcos. He loved it when hustlers beat the rap. We were sprawled on a couch in downtown Manhattan, doing a little hustling ourselves. Words for cash, words for cash. I was a comic book writer at the time, which was a righteous cash cow for many a word wrangler. Gregory was anxious to write a comic, not just for the bucks, but because he was jealous that his son Max, who was probably no more than 10 at the time, seemed more impressed by my crappy 2-bit pulp comics than by his dad's magnificent poetry. Which wasn't true at all, but Gregory liked any juice that could jumpstart the drive to write. And that day, jealousy was good juice. Gregory also wanted to reinvent the hero. He loved to build vaulting buttresses with words. that spans centuries, and he sensed that the disreputable pop art form of the comic book, such a tawdry place, so thick with superheroes, would be a good site to build one of those bridges. At his fingertips were the flawed heroes of mythology, the tragic ideals of Sophocles and Euripides. I could have the wrong Greeks there. Gregory was always disgusted. I could barely tell them apart. We spent hours talking about the hero, and in the end, came up with a character Gregory called Ratbird, a deformed, furtive, wall-eyed anti-hero, in the devious tradition of Claudius, who fought poor tenants and took down slum landlords in sneaky ways. Gregory wrote exalted, snarling rants for the heroic villainy of Ratbird, lyrical furies that wove lofty ideals into the language of the street. Too experimental, said one comic book editor I sent the story pitch to. We used a pseudonym that was a mix of our names. Too ephemeral, said another comic book editor. I was afraid to tell Gregory, but he just laughed. Of course it was rejected, he yelled. Haven't you learned anything from me?
Thank you, Annie Nocenti. And next up, we have a wonderful film of Janine Pommy Vega reading, and she had a very long history with Gregory, who introduced her to Allen Ginsberg and Peter Orlovsky. So please enjoy this clip.
Ramshackle building appears. The light from 100 candles spills out on the snow. Inside at the long table, Bolsheviks built like fire plugs hammer out their arguments with Dostoevsky youths and socialists from a score of countries. Skin of the Tuareg singer gleams with Saharan constellations as he sings the language of the wind, the one his mother taught him, the one forbidden in school. Poets group together, lift their glasses of grappa and sing along. At the far end, intellectuals cozy up over the finer points, the hidden references and underlying themes. Somebody licks his fingers. The South American woman with the voice of a train wailing through small towns of the disappeared, leans in toward the Sikh and his syllables of Guru Nanak. The Siberian shamaness creates in her song a mask of knotted string through which we watch the procession of animals over the northern vastland. A courtship dance of apples begins at dawn. Three youths with a shrieking soundtrack shout simultaneous personal histories of the horrors of war. There's something about the cavernous heart where all songs gather. Bella Ciao, the Internacional, the jazz riff, and the lullaby. The drama of hands over a table among the deaf and the singing. There's something about the cavernous heart where all songs gather. Bella Ciao, the Internacional, the jazz riff, and the lullaby. The drama of hands over a table among the deaf and the singing. The key is in the diamond in the door. Open up, it's me. In the poem that holds the door ajar. Ah, we've been waiting.
So great to hear Janine Pommy Vega. She was a huge part of the Woodstock scene, poetry scene, and the international poetry scene. And next up, we have a film by Dee Dee Halleck of the Fugs recent show, and it's Ed Sanders Band and a song by Tuli Kupferberg, Nothing, Nothing.
This is from Shakespeare's Macbeth. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time. And in all our yesterdays, the lighted fools, the way to dusty death. Out, out, breathe candles. Life's but a rocking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets their hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying the Fugs nothing. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday and Thursday, nothing. Friday for a change, a little more nothing. Shabbos, reverently nothing. And Roosevelt fake nothing. Truman bloody nothing. Eisenhower Dopey nothing. Johnson, Nixon, humongous pricks, and Reagan, the Star War, nothing, and Karl Marx, nothing, Trotsky, nothing, Bakunin, Kropotkin, nothing, John Stuart Mill, Nihil, Stalin, less than nothing. Idiotics, nothing. Semiotics, nothing. Wittgenstein and Russell, nothing. Jean-Paul Sartre, a dead old farter. Is Eisenhower, is he not? Nothing. Da Vinci, nothing. Stravinci, nothing. Monet and Monet, I'm not today. Minimalism is abysmalism, and John Cage is nothing. And Jesus Christ, nothing. Barkata, nothing. Mohammed and Krishna, nothing. is nothing. Woodstock, nothing. CNN, nothing. Hollywood and PBS, nothing. The giants of literature, the giants of nothing. Literate and shittery, nothing. Now Putin is nothing. Ukraine is nothing. The mess in Washington is nothing. The war on drugs is in charge of young drugs. And endless bombings from thugs. And marriage is nothing. 8 to 4 something. Having kids is nothing. They all grow up and leave you anyway. Lost sons and daughters of nothing. Not a goddamn thing.
That was fabulous. Thank you, Dee Dee Halleck, for recording that. And so we're going to be signing off from the Zoom in Rome, Italy. And we want to thank, of course, our wonderful tech people who made this all possible. Chase and Isabella. Give them a big hand. Thank you so much.